What's up, Epic 7? This one comes at the request of my community. Several weeks ago, we did a specialty change discussion. We talked about which specialty change units were worth doing, which ones you should do first, what ones were skippable, because they are legion. There are so many specialty changes, and you can only have 2 active at a time. So what ones should you do? What ones should you skip? What ones should you work on? What's going to help your account progress the most? So we're going to go over this. So we're going to break it down into your must-have ones. These are ones that are going to be reached for every week, and then we're going to have your very good units. These are the ones you're going to use often. You want to have in your pockets. You're not going to use them as heavily, but they are important ones to have. They'll have our 1 or 2 uses. These are ones where you might occasionally use them, or they're really, really good at one specific thing, but it's not that big of a deal. And then, of course, the garbage tier, the niche tier, the I just love this unit and I want to use it tier. Those are the ones you work on last. You should complete them all. I mean, why not? It's a free upgrade to a unit. Go ahead and bang it out and enjoy the new look and the lore of the specialty change units. But we're going to start from the bottom up with our garbage tier and our worst specialty change unit out there, Shepherd Jenna. Shepherd Jenna was originally constructed as a way to test out the new frostbite mechanic, and her kit is abysmal. She just does not get anything done in Epic 7, so you want to do her last. Vigilant Leader Glenn for about 15 minutes was really good at a very specific Wyvern one-shot that doesn't really exist. It took insane gear, and there's so many easier routes. Glenn's lost his job and really just needs a little something to bring him back into the limelight. Much like the Chaos Boys, both Chaos Sect Axe and Chaos Inquisitor. Their story is one of my favorites. It involves Sirmia, so of course it is. But there was a few minutes there where they were usable and people were having fun with them, but they just don't have what it takes to swing in a 2025 Epic 7. Their time has come and gone. Righteous Thief Ruzid used to be one of the best units for expeditions until a wolf girl named Lilka came along and stole almost all of her thunder. Now all that Ruzid has is a really cool howl and a nice backstory. Oh, I can see the comments forming now. All-rounder Wanda. I'm going to hear all, oh, she's great with Says. Oh, I use her here and there. Yeah, you know, that's niche. She's not really a functional unit outside of people who want to force her to work because she's just really cool. Much like Muse Rima. You'll read Muse Rima's kit and be like, how could this girl not be used? Her kit looks amazing. She just doesn't have the stats to back it up. It's very, very hard to use this unit in any impactful way. Now let's move on to one of the members of the Holy Trinity, Captain Ricorous, once one of the strongest units in Epic 7, but that was 2018. Things have changed in the past 7 years, and now Ricorous finds his only place to be used is on a very niche specific team in Ancient Inheritance if you're using the Light Element team. It's the very definition of niche. He doesn't really have any place in the game anymore. And much like Ruzid, Mercenary Helga had almost all of her thunder stolen by the wolf girl Lilka, and also a little bit by Brieg. So Mercenary Helga finds herself on the way out, not really functional in any aspect of the game right now. Falconer Clury, who used to be the strongest knight in the game, went through a hot and cold cycle of nerfs and buffs, and has just kind of found herself in a place where she's not usable anywhere except for a few abyss floors where you want some passive healing. You could possibly use her in Banshee, but God, it's slow. Very, very, very niche. I wouldn't go so far as to call a girl garbage, but she is very niche. And Sue's gonna hate me for this one, but Dollmaker Pearl Horizon, very, very strong on 1 or 2 abyss floors, pretty good against the Banshee, and that is it. You'll never use her again after you reach for her for those. So that kind of rounds out our garbage / niche tier. These are the ones that you should save for absolute last. In this order from left to right, you make these the last ones you do. You work on the best return on investment, and that's going to be some of these higher tiered units. Now let's go to the 1 or 2 unit uses tier. So we got Summer Disciple Alexa. Now, fair warning with Alexa, she works just fine without her specialty change for killing wyverns. With her specialty change, she works a lot better, and she looks a lot better, but you will have to unlock the Lord of Summer story in the Book of Memories to access her specialty change, and that can cost you upwards of 900 Skystones. So be aware she's a very expensive specialty change, and I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze until much, much later down the road. Next is Inos 2.0, who is a very unique kit. As long as there are dark units in the team, she will generate souls for every dark unit that takes a turn. She's got a pretty solid attack-based healing. She's one of the few Soul Weavers where her healing is almost exclusively attack-based. It makes her a choice unit in Ancient Inheritance and on a handful of Abyss floors where you're punished for non-attack skills. You'll find some uses for Inos, but beyond that, you won't touch her very much at all. Shadow Knight Pillis is another powerhouse unit for one specific content. She will let you full auto the Nightmare Queen significantly easier. Now, you can replace her with units like Arrowell, with units like Hassel, but she's the best at the job, and she's got some uses in Labyrinth as well. Zealot Carmen Rose was made for Light Expedition. She is hands down the most important unit that's not named Brieg for beating Light Expedition. When you get to the point where you're ready to start really focusing on your expedition teams, she is one of the first ones you do. She is super, super good for Light Expo, and that's really about it. You might find the occasional use for her in other places, but it's going to be really niche, few and far between. She's just a Light Expo unit. Light Savior Auden. Savior Auden is the final form, the final evolution of Auden. You'll get this at the end of Chapter 4. She was a PvP machine of murder. Everybody used her in RTA, but she has fallen by the wayside quite a bit with so many things that penetrate evasion and that do it better. Now her uses in PvP are few and far between, though she does still have decent use in PvP as well as PvE. You pick her up. She's no longer a must-have nuclear unit, but she is a good tool for the tool belt, and you're going to complete it anyway to get out of Chapter 4. Next, we have Silvertide Christie. She has the unique effect of whatever her effect resistance is, she gives 50% of it to the back row. You stack 300 ER on this girl, she gives 150 to the back row, and even when she dies, that 150 ER sticks around. This will make it so much easier to gear units when you're doing fights that require high effect resistance on specific units, but you also want to give them other stats. A lot of Abyss floors will be like this. We need to make sure your back row unit doesn't get debuffed, but you need to stack other stats on them to complete the floor to make sure they survive, do damage. Christie solves that, and being a knight, she can wear mitigation artifacts on top of it. Really solid unit to have. A very, very useful tool for your toolbox. And the last one is going to be Inheritor Amiki. Now, her 1 to 2 uses are PvP related. She is the natural enemy of high school girls with swords. You don't like BBK, you're having trouble with BBK, Inheritor Amiki. You don't like units that have damage limit, you don't like units that are proccing immortality, Inheritor Amiki. She is a solid PvP unit, but you don't need to touch her until you're ready to jump into PvP. The other units in this tier are actually more valuable to you early game, but once you get into the RTA side of things, the Guild Wars side of things, you'll be glad you have an Inheritor Amiki on your account. Now let's move up to the very good units row. This is Unbound Knight Arrowell. She is one of the first units to have Escort as a self-propagating buff. She will be your tankiest mitigation knight you have that is not a 4 or a 5 star. You will want to pick her up and use her on Abyss floors. She can base tank the Nightmare Queen. She is good into Asmakalis 13. You'll find lots of places up to and including early game PvP where you're going to need the bulk and survivability to get through some of the earlier levels of RTA. Researcher Carrot has had a little bit of a resurgence in RTA since the frenzy changes have gone through that make burns do significantly more damage, and her ability to detonate burns. She is really, really good in really early RTA, and she is best in slot for autoing the Nightmare Devourer. Any fight where you have to stack debuffs on the enemy, Research Carrot is going to be really good for those kind of Abyss floors. And she's Sirmia's sister. Take care of Sirmia's sister. Next, we have Angelic Montmorency. Angelic Montmorency used to be the go-to unit to tank the Wyvern. We have found way better and easier ways to tank the Wyvern. You don't necessarily need a Soul Weaver in that anymore, but she is good for it. She is good for a lot of Abyss floors. She is good for the full auto on the Nightmare Carcanus in Nightmare Labyrinth. She's really good in Hell Labyrinth. You will find lots of uses for this girl. Her cycling and her healing and her cleansing is unparalleled by other 3-star units. Definitely one you want to bang out really early on. She used to be a must-have. She's fallen a little bit since her Wyvern units uses have fallen away. And then you got the fire version. You got Mascot Hazel. She is a cleanser and a healer, and she can give attack buff. And if you're a fire unit, she can give you greater attack buff. She is, I think, one of, if not the only unit who can selectively put greater attack buff on a unit of your choice as long as it's fire, which makes her a go-to unit for fighting Secretary Vera, both the Nightmare and the Hell Raid versions, as well as a lot of Abyss floors. We'll also find uses for her in the occasional Hall of Trials. Very good unit to pick up. And speaking of Hall of Trials, who is your favorite Epic 7 unit, and why is it Magic Scholar Doris? Magic Scholar Doris is a light elemental soul weaver who is basically like DN at home. She stacks tons of buffs, keeping your team alive, while she doesn't quite have some of the offensive buffs that DN has, she has, in exchange, defensive buffs. She spams regeneration and is a stronger healer and gives defense buffs and can blind enemy with her S1. She is a fan-freaking-tastic soul weaver and one you want on your team, from Abyss to Hall of Trials to random PvE events that drop in our laps. You'll be glad that you haven't built Doris early on. And that brings us to our top tier, the must-have units, the ones you work on first, and those are pretty straightforward. The number one unit in this list is Commander Lorena. Anybody who's watched any of Sue's guides, anyone who's tried to figure out how to do the Abyss has heard the name Commander Lorena. She is the must-have DPS unit. Her cycling, her damage, her insane soul burns, giving her extra turns, the ease of which it takes to build her. She is somebody that you're going to need and need fast. Make her the first or second specialty change you do so that you can chew through the PvE content. If you've hit a wall and you can't clear a specific PvE content, chances are Commander Lorena is part of the solution to that problem. And the last unit, and I am going to nudge Lorena out on this one, is Adventurer Ross. And the reason I'm nudging her out is because although Lorena is going to be more important to you early game, her uses will start to fall off end game, where you're only going to really use her in expeditions and the occasional random dropping event. Whereas Adventurer Ross, you will use everywhere and forever. He is Giga Strong early game, Giga Strong mid game, late game, end game. He is used in PvE and PvP. You can use him in hunts. You could use him in Nightmare raids. You can use him in Abyss floors. You can use him in RTA. He pairs so well in RTA. People who've been playing for 3 weeks use this guy. People have been playing for 7 years use this guy. So as soon as you unlock Adventurer Ross, towards the end of Chapter 2, work on him and get him on your account. Whether or not you do Lorena or Ross first is up to you, but they should be your 2 top priority specialty changes. And that's it, guys. That's the tier list. That's all the specialty changes. I know it's a lot of them, but just focus on the top 2 rows. Once you got the top 2 rows done, then you can work on the rest at your leisure, because they are really, really niche beyond that. But once you get those top 2 rows done, you will have a powerhouse legion of PvE and PvP stomping specialty change units to help you progress in Epic 7. I hope this tier list has helped some of you guys out. I hope my explanations were adequate. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you guys have a great rest of your week. Take care, Epic 7.